What if I told you the smallest coin in your collection could be worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars? Today, we're uncovering 4 legendary Lincoln pennies that stand apart because of their extreme rarity, remarkable condition, or extraordinary minting history. These are the coins that make collectors stop, auction rooms compete, and headlines explode. From astonishing 5-figure and 6-figure results to a famous Lincoln cent that reached the million-dollar range, every coin has a completely different story. Let's discover these 4 remarkable pennies and the incredible prices they have achieved in the world of numismatics. Let's get started. Coin number 1. Have you ever looked at an old, dirty Lincoln penny and wondered, could this little 1-cent coin actually be worth much more than 1 cent? Today, we're taking a close look at the 1994 Lincoln cent with the D mint mark, a coin that can attract attention from collectors, especially when its condition, quality, and possible varieties are examined carefully. But here's the most important thing: not every 1994 D penny is rare, and not every old-looking penny is valuable. In fact, millions of ordinary 1994 D cents were produced. What makes one example interesting to collectors can be its grade, preservation, strike, errors, varieties, or other characteristics. So before you spend time searching your change jar, stay with me, because we're going to explain what to look for, how condition affects value, what MS really means, and why 2 pennies from exactly the same year can have completely different values. And remember, coin values can change, and an asking price is not the same thing as a verified auction sale. 1994 D Lincoln cent, the basic story. The 1994 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why you can find the small letter D beneath the date on the obverse. The coin features Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. For collectors, the first question isn't simply, is it from 1994? The better question is, what kind of 1994 D cent do you actually have? A heavily circulated coin with scratches, discoloration, dirt, and wear is normally going to have a very different collector value from a sharply struck coin that has remained in exceptional condition. This is where coin grading becomes extremely important. Why the dirty condition can be misleading. Let's say you discover a 1994 D penny that looks dark, dirty, or worn. It might immediately look ancient or extremely rare. But appearance alone doesn't prove rarity. A coin can become dirty simply because it spent years circulating in pockets, coin jars, vending machines, or other environments. Cleaning can actually hurt a coin's collector appeal, especially if the cleaning leaves unnatural marks or surfaces. So if you find a potentially interesting penny, don't automatically polish it. A collector generally wants to see the coin in its natural state. The important clues include the amount of wear, the original surface, the sharpness of the design, the presence of marks, and whether anything unusual happened during manufacturing. The D mint mark. Now let's talk about that little D. The D tells us the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. But here's a critical point. A D mint mark by itself does not make a 1994 penny rare. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when watching online coin videos. They see a mint mark and assume it means the coin is extremely valuable. In reality, millions of coins can carry the same mint mark. The value comes from the complete story of the individual coin. That story includes rarity, condition, demand, authenticity, and sometimes a recognized error or variety. And that's why every coin needs to be evaluated individually. What does MS mean? Now we reach one of the most important terms in modern coin collecting. MS mint state. When a coin receives an MS grade, it means the coin is considered to have no wear from circulation, although it can still have marks or other imperfections. You may see grades such as MS60, MS61, MS62, and higher. As the grade increases, the coin can become more desirable. But here's another important warning. MS does not automatically mean expensive. A common coin can exist in mint state condition without becoming a rare coin. For a 1994 D cent, an exceptional high-grade example can be much more interesting than an ordinary circulated example, but its actual market value must be based on reliable sales data and the exact grade. Why two 1994 D PNNIS can have different values? Imagine placing two 1994 D pennies side by side. They have the same date. They have the same mint mark. They are both Lincoln cents. Yet one could be worth only a small amount above face value, while the other could attract much more collector interest. Why? Because coins are individual objects. One may have heavy circulation wear. Another may have excellent surfaces. One could have numerous scratches. Another might have very few marks. One could have an unusual minting characteristic. Another could simply be an ordinary example. That's why saying all 1994 D pennies are worth X dollars is misleading. There isn't one universal value. What about a rare era? This is where things can become much more interesting. Collectors actively search for genuine mint errors and recognized varieties. But a coin being damaged after leaving the mint doesn't necessarily make it a valuable mint error. For example, scratches, chemical discoloration, environmental damage, corrosion, or damage caused by machines can happen after production. A genuine mint error is something different, an unusual condition created during the manufacturing process. If you believe your 1994 D cent has an unusual feature, don't immediately assume you've discovered a fortune. Compare it with trustworthy references, and for a potentially significant coin, consider professional authentication and grading. 2026 Market Value. What should you expect? Now let's answer the question many viewers are waiting for. How much is a 1994 D Lincoln penny worth in 2026? The honest answer is, it depends. A normal circulated 1994 D cent generally isn't a high-dollar rarity simply because it is old or has a D mint mark. However, an unusually high-grade certified specimen or a genuinely rare and authenticated era or variety can have a different market value. And this is where auction records matter. If you see a video claiming that a 1994 D penny sold for hundreds or thousands of dollars, don't stop at the headline. Ask, was that the same date? Was it actually the D mint coin? What was the certified grade? Was it a normal coin or a special variety error? Was the figure an actual completed sale or merely an asking price? Those questions can completely change the story. The importance of VRFID auction sales. A real auction result is much more useful than an internet listing. Why? Because an online seller can list an ordinary penny for $5,000, $10,000, or even more. That does not mean somebody paid that amount. For determining market value, collectors and researchers generally pay much more attention to documented completed transactions. So when researching your 1994 D cent in 2026, look for recent, verifiable sales of coins that actually match yours in date, mint mark, condition, certification, variety, and overall quality. This is especially important because the rare coin market can change over time. A spectacular certified coin can receive strong competition at auction, while an ordinary circulated coin may remain close to face value. What should you check on your penny? If you've got a 1994 D Lincoln cent in your hand right now, start with the basics. First, confirm the date. 1994. Second, look beneath the date for the D mint mark. Third, examine the overall condition without cleaning the coin. Look at Lincoln's hair and facial details. Look at the lettering. Look at the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Check the rims and surfaces. Then look carefully for anything genuinely unusual. But don't assume every strange-looking mark is an error. A magnifying glass can help you inspect the coin, but if something appears potentially significant, professional examination is the safer way to establish what you actually have. One coin, one story. And this is what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Two coins can share the exact same year and mint mark, yet tell completely different stories. One may have spent decades circulating from person to person. Another might have been placed into a collection soon after it was made. One could have suffered scratches and environmental damage. Another could have survived with exceptionally attractive surfaces. And in rare circumstances, an individual coin may have a manufacturing error or variety that changes its collector interest dramatically. That's why you shouldn't judge a coin entirely by its age. A coin doesn't become valuable simply because it has been sitting around for a long time. Condition, rarity, authenticity, and collector demand matter. Final value warning. So if you have a dirty 1994 D Lincoln penny, don't throw it away. But don't assume you've found a guaranteed $1,000 coin either. The most realistic starting point is to identify exactly what you have. Is it circulated? Is it mint state? Is it certified? Does it have a recognized variety? Does it show evidence of a genuine mint era? And most importantly, can you find a verified sale for a comparable coin? Those answers are far more useful than a random price tag on the internet. So what is your 1994 D Lincoln penny worth in 2026? For an ordinary circulated example, usually not a life-changing amount, but a particularly high-grade, certified, or genuinely unusual example can be much more interesting to collectors. And that's the lesson with Lincoln cents. Don't look only at the date, look at the details. Because every coin has a different story. If you have a 1994 D penny, examine it carefully, protect its natural surfaces, and compare it with reliable auction records before deciding what it's worth. If you enjoyed this coin story, make sure to subscribe, because there are millions of Lincoln cents still hiding in collections, jars, drawers, and pocket change, and sometimes the smallest coin deserves the closest look. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next coin story. Coin number 2. A 1-cent coin can sometimes become much more interesting when collectors examine its condition, surfaces, strike, grade, and possible varieties. But there is also an important truth that every coin collector should know. A 1999 D Lincoln penny is not automatically rare simply because it is old-looking, dark, or has a D mint mark. In today's 2026 coin market, the real question is not simply what year is printed on the coin, but what makes that particular example different from millions of others. The 1999 D Lincoln cent was produced at the Denver Mint, and the small letter D underneath the date identifies its mint location. Abraham Lincoln appears on the obverse, while the Lincoln Memorial appears on the reverse. At first glance, this may look like an ordinary modern Lincoln cent, and many examples are exactly that. However, collectors know that condition can create a major difference between individual coins. One 1999 D penny may be heavily circulated, scratched, discolored, and dirty, while another can survive with remarkable detail and very little evidence of circulation. They have the same date and mint mark, but they are not necessarily equal in collector interest or market value. Now let's talk about the black or dirty appearance that makes some 1999 pennies attract attention. A dark coin can look mysterious, especially when it is compared with a bright copper-colored Lincoln cent. But black color alone is not proof that a coin is rare. A cent can become dark because of environmental exposure, storage conditions, chemical reactions, dirt, or other changes that happen after the coin leaves the mint. Some coins can also develop natural surface coloration over time. So if your 1999 penny is black or extremely dark, the first question should not be, how many dollars is it worth? The better question is, why does this coin look this way? This is also why you should be extremely careful about cleaning an unusual penny. If you discover a dark 1999 cent, don't automatically polish it, scrub it, or use household chemicals to make it shiny. Collectors generally want to see the coin's original surfaces. Cleaning can leave scratches or unnatural surfaces and may reduce the coin's desirability. A dirty-looking coin can be examined, photographed, and researched without trying to transform its appearance. Sometimes leaving the coin alone is the smartest move you can make. The D-mint mark is another feature that deserves attention, but it should not be misunderstood. The D simply tells us that the coin was struck at Denver. It does not automatically make a 1999 penny a rare coin. Millions of coins can carry the same mint mark. What can make an individual coin more interesting is its combination of condition, grade, rarity, variety, era status, and collector demand. This is why experienced collectors don't stop their investigation. After finding the letter D, they continue looking at the entire coin. Now imagine finding two different 1999 pennies. The first coin has spent years in circulation. Lincoln's portrait shows where the reverse is scratched, the color is dark, and the rims have seen plenty of use. The second coin looks dramatically different. The design is sharp, the surfaces are well preserved, and there is little evidence of normal circulation. Both coins say 1999 and both have the D mint mark, but the second coin may deserve much closer attention. This is the basic reason condition matters so much in numismatics. One of the most important terms you'll encounter when researching a potentially valuable Lincoln cent is MS, meaning mint state. Mint state grades are used for coins that show no wear from circulation. You'll see grades such as MS60, MS61, MS62, MS63, and higher. The higher the grade, the more demanding the evaluation becomes concerning marks, surfaces, luster, strike, and overall preservation. But remember something very important. MS does not automatically mean extremely valuable. A common coin can exist in mint state condition. The market value depends on the rarity and desirability of that particular grade and coin. Now let's imagine a completely different 1999 penny. This one isn't particularly black or dirty. Instead, it has an unusual feature that appears to be part of the manufacturing process. Suddenly, the investigation becomes more interesting. Could it be a genuine mint error? Could it be a recognized variety? Or is it simply damage that happened after the coin entered circulation? This distinction is extremely important. A scratch isn't automatically an error. A dent isn't automatically an error. Chemical discoloration isn't automatically an error. Collectors need evidence that an unusual feature actually originated during the minting process. This is where professional authentication and grading can become useful. If you believe your 1999 cent has an important error, an unusual variety, or exceptional condition, compare it carefully with trustworthy references, and when appropriate, seek an evaluation from a reputable professional grading service. A professional grade can help establish the coin's condition and provide a standardized description that collectors and auction buyers understand. But don't submit every ordinary penny simply because it looks old. The goal is to identify whether the coin has characteristics that genuinely justify further investigation. Now let's move to the part that gets the most attention, the 2026 value. How much is a 1999 Lincoln penny worth today? The honest answer is that there isn't one price that applies to every example. An ordinary circulated 1999 cent is generally not a major rarity simply because it is from 1999. A high-grade mint state example can be more desirable, particularly when the grade is confirmed by professional certification. An authenticated and genuinely unusual mint error or recognized variety can fall into a completely different category. So when researching the value of your coin, don't take one spectacular number from the internet and assume that every 1999 D penny has the same value. This is where auction records become extremely important. Suppose you see an online listing claiming that a 1999 D penny is worth thousands of dollars. That is only an asking price. It doesn't prove that anyone actually paid that amount. A completed auction sale is much stronger evidence because it represents an actual transaction. Even then, you need to make sure the sold coin is comparable. Was it certified? What was its MS grade? Did it have a legitimate error? Was it a special variety? Was it an exceptional specimen? A normal circulated penny should never be valued by simply copying the price of a spectacular certified coin. The MS auction market is especially interesting because collectors sometimes compete strongly for coins in exceptional condition. Coin that looks ordinary to someone unfamiliar with grading can become much more interesting when it survives with unusually high-quality surfaces and sharp details. But the word MS should never be used as a magic word to create a high value. The exact grade matters, the population of coins at that grade matters, and actual buyer demand matters. A high-grade coin is valuable because of its specific characteristics and market demand, not simply because somebody wrote MS next to it. Let's return to the black dirty 1999 D penny, because this is where many online coin stories become confusing. Imagine a coin that has become almost completely dark from environmental exposure. It may look rare because its appearance is unusual, but unusual does not always mean valuable. Now imagine another coin with a naturally attractive surface and excellent preservation. These two coins may both appear dark, but their stories are completely different. The first may have environmental damage, while the second could have characteristics that collectors find desirable. This is why color must always be evaluated together with the coin's surfaces and condition. Another important factor is collector demand. Coin prices are not determined only by what a coin technically is. They are also influenced by what collectors want to own. If many collectors are searching for a particular high-grade specimen, variety, or authenticated error, competition can push auction prices higher. If a coin is common and easily available, the market may remain much lower. This is why the same 1-cent denomination can represent completely different levels of value, depending on the individual coin. So if you are searching through an old jar of pennies and discover a 1999 D Lincoln cent, don't immediately throw it away because it is only 1 cent. But don't immediately assume you found a fortune either. Start with identification. Confirm the year. Confirm the D mint mark. Examine the condition. Look closely at the surfaces. Check the reverse. Look for genuine manufacturing characteristics. Then compare your coin with reliable information and documented sales. The goal is not to create the biggest possible price. The goal is to discover the real story of your specific coin. And that's what makes Lincoln cents so fascinating. Every coin has traveled through a different history. One may have been sitting in a collection for decades. Another may have passed through hundreds of hands. One may have been protected almost immediately after production. Another may have spent years exposed to moisture and dirt. Even coins produced on the same day can end up looking completely different. When collectors say that every coin has a different story, they really mean it. Before we finish, let's review the most important points about the 1999 D Lincoln penny in 2026. The D mint mark identifies Denver, but it does not automatically make the coin rare. A black or dirty appearance does not automatically mean the coin is valuable. Cleaning an unusual coin can damage its collector appeal. Mint state condition can increase interest, but MS by itself does not guarantee a high price. Genuine errors and recognized varieties can be important, but they need to be properly identified. And when you're researching dollar values, verified completed auction sales are much more meaningful than unrealistic online asking prices. Coin number 3. Today we're taking a close look at the 1998 1-cent Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, especially examples in circulation condition, and we're going to examine what collectors should know about rarity, mint state grades, auction results, and the 2026 numismatic market. But before we get excited about enormous dollar values, There is one important fact to understand. A normal 1998 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is generally a Philadelphia minted coin, because Philadelphia cents from this era normally carried no mint mark. So the absence of a mint mark alone does not make a 1998 penny rare. The 1998 Lincoln cent is one of those coins that can create confusion because collectors sometimes see the blank space underneath the date and immediately think something is missing. In reality, the Philadelphia Mint traditionally produced Lincoln cents without a mint mark. That means a normal 1998 Philadelphia cent can legitimately have no letter underneath the date. The coin features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And while it has a face value of 1 cent, collectors may pay closer attention to examples with unusual varieties, genuine errors, or exceptional preservation. Now let's talk about the circulated condition, because this is probably the most common condition you'll encounter when searching through everyday change. A circulated 1998 no mint mark penny may have wear across Lincoln's hair and face, small scratches on the fields, discoloration, and contact marks. The reverse may also show wear around the Lincoln Memorial and lettering. These signs tell us that the coin spent time in circulation. For a normal circulated example, the absence of a mint mark is not evidence of a rare error. It is normally exactly what we expect from a Philadelphia issue. Imagine finding one of these pennies after years of being hidden in a drawer. It may look old and worn, but remember that appearance and rarity are two different things. A coin can look ancient without being rare, and a coin can look ordinary while having a characteristic that makes it interesting to specialists. This is why experienced collectors don't determine value simply by looking at whether a penny is shiny, dirty, dark, or worn. They identify the coin first and then investigate its specific characteristics. One of the most important things to understand about the 1998 no mint mark Lincoln penny is the difference between a normal Philadelphia issue and a genuine mint error. If the coin has no mint mark, that is normally not an error for this particular Philadelphia-produced cent. A true mint error would involve something unusual happening during the manufacturing process. For example, a significant striking abnormality could potentially deserve investigation. But scratches, dents, corrosion, chemical damage, or other problems that occurred after the coin left the mint should not automatically be called mint errors. This distinction becomes extremely important when you see sensational claims online about pennies supposedly worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. A seller can list an ordinary 1998 penny for an enormous amount, but an asking price isn't proof of market value. The better evidence comes from completed auction sales involving coins that are genuinely comparable. When researching the 2026 market, you should look at the exact date, mint, condition, certification, grade, variety, and any documented error. A spectacular sale for a certified high-grade or rare variety should never be used as the value of an ordinary circulated penny. Now let's talk about MS, or mint state, because this is where the story can change. A mint state coin is one that has not experienced wear from circulation. You'll see grades such as MS60, MS61, MS62, MS63, and higher. A high-grade 1998 Philadelphia cent can be much more interesting to collectors than a heavily circulated example. But remember, MS does not automatically mean extremely valuable. A coin can be common and still receive an MS grade. What matters is how scarce and desirable that coin is at the particular grade. Think about two 1998 no mint mark pennies sitting side by side. The first has been circulating for decades. Its surfaces have numerous contact marks, the color has changed, and the details show normal wear. The second has exceptionally clean surfaces and sharp details, with no evidence of circulation wear. The coins have the same date, same design, and same lack of a mint mark, but their condition tells completely different stories. The second coin could deserve much closer examination, because high-grade survivors can attract collector attention. However, don't confuse cleaning with high-grade. If you discover a bright-looking 1998 penny, that doesn't necessarily mean it is mint state. A circulated coin can be cleaned and made to look shiny, but cleaning does not remove the wear caused by circulation. In fact, Cleaning can create problems that make the coin less desirable. If you think you have an unusually nice Lincoln cent, it's generally better to preserve its surfaces rather than trying to make it look newer. The 2026 numismatic market also reminds us why condition-specific research matters. The value of a coin can depend on collector demand, availability in a particular grade, certification, and the quality of comparable examples. A normal circulated 1998 Philadelphia cent generally isn't a high-dollar rarity. A premium example in an exceptionally high certified grade may attract more attention. A genuine and recognized mint error or variety can create another category altogether. So the phrase 1998 penny value is incomplete unless we know exactly what type of 1998 penny we're talking about. Let's imagine another 1998 penny. This one appears normal at first, but under magnification, you notice something unusual around the lettering or design. Don't immediately announce that you've found a rare error. First, compare the feature with known examples. Is it actually part of the minting process? Does it appear consistently in recognized varieties? Could it simply be machine damage or post-mint alteration? These questions matter because a genuine mint-made variety and ordinary damage can have completely different collector significance. This is also why professional grading and authentication can be useful for a potentially important coin. If your 1998 penny appears to have exceptional preservation or a legitimate unusual characteristic, a reputable grading service can provide an independent assessment. A certified grade gives collectors a standardized way to discuss the coin. But certification doesn't magically turn an ordinary penny into a rare coin. The underlying rarity and demand still matter. Now let's answer the question that brought many viewers here. How much is a 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth in 2026? For a normal circulated example, the value is generally modest. And the lack of a mint mark is normal for Philadelphia cents from this period. Don't assume that a circulation condition penny is automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The more interesting possibilities involve exceptional condition, recognized varieties, or genuine errors. Exact prices should be based on current comparable sales rather than sensational claims. If you are specifically interested in sold auction values, always check what actually sold. Look for the coin's certification and grade, then compare it with other examples at the same grade. One very high auction result may represent an unusually exceptional specimen and shouldn't be treated as a standard price. Auction values can also fluctuate depending on timing, venue, bidder competition, and the particular quality of the coin. That's why serious collectors use multiple comparable results when estimating market value. The phrase "only one sold" also needs careful interpretation. If you find a record showing only one sale for a particular high-grade or unusual 1998 cent, that doesn't automatically mean every example is worth the same amount. It could indicate that the specific grade or variety is rarely offered, but scarcity of auction appearances and actual market value are not exactly the same thing. A coin may be rare in a particular grade while demand remains limited, or it may attract strong competition when the right example finally appears. Now take a look at your own coin. Start with the date, 1998, then check underneath the date. If there is no mint mark, don't assume something has been removed. For a Philadelphia Lincoln cent of this era, no mint mark is normal. Examine Lincoln's portrait and the reverse design for wear. Look at the rims and fields for damage. Then carefully investigate any feature that appears unusual. Good lighting and magnification can help, but photographs alone aren't always enough to establish an error or variety. Remember, every coin is different. One 1998 penny might have been carried around for years and become heavily worn. Another might have been placed into a collection shortly after it was produced. One could have environmental discoloration. Another might retain attractive original surfaces. One might be an ordinary Philadelphia cent, while another could have an unusual characteristic worth researching. The date is the starting point of the story, not the entire story. This is why coin collecting is so fascinating. A coin with a face value of 1 cent can lead you into questions about mint production, grading, preservation, varieties, eras, auction history, and collector demand. The most exciting discoveries aren't necessarily the coins with the biggest internet price tag. Sometimes the real discovery is learning exactly what you have and why it is different from another coin sitting beside it. So before you believe a claim that a 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is automatically worth a huge amount, stop and investigate. Is it circulated or mint state? Is it certified? Does it have a recognized variety? Is there a genuine mint error? Are there documented completed auction sales for comparable coins? Those questions are much more important than a random price appearing in an online listing. For collectors searching their change in 2026, the best approach is simple. Identify first, inspect second, research third, and value last. Don't clean the coin, don't rely on a single online listing, and don't assume that every missing mint mark is an error. A normal Philadelphia cent without a mint mark is exactly what it should be. The real opportunity comes from finding something that is genuinely unusual or exceptionally preserved. Coin number 4. At first glance, the 2001 D Lincoln cent looks like an ordinary modern penny, but coin collecting is all about the individual details. A circulated example, a high-grade mint state specimen, and a genuine mint error can have completely different levels of collector interest. So today, we're taking a close look at the 2001 D Abraham Lincoln penny, its circulation condition, the meaning of the D mint mark, MS grades, auction records, and what collectors should realistically understand about the 2026 market. The first thing to establish is the identity of the coin. The D mint mark underneath the 2001 date indicates that this Lincoln cent was produced at the Denver Mint. The obverse shows Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial. Finding the letter D can be exciting when you're searching through change, but the mint mark alone doesn't make this penny rare. Large quantities of 2001 D cents were produced, so the ordinary example isn't automatically a high-dollar coin simply because it carries a D. Now consider the coin's circulated condition. A penny that has spent years moving through everyday commerce can show wear on Lincoln's portrait, contact marks across the fields, scratches around the rims, and discoloration from its environment. That's completely different from a coin that was carefully preserved after production. A circulated 2001 D cent generally shouldn't be treated as a rare treasure merely because it looks old or has been sitting in a collection for many years. Its condition needs to be considered before anyone talks about a serious market value. One interesting thing about modern Lincoln cents is that people often mistake age for rarity. A coin from 2001 may look old when you discover it today, but being more than 2 decades old doesn't automatically make it scarce. In numismatics, rarity is determined by supply, survival, condition, varieties, errors, and demand. That's why a coin that looks extremely worn isn't necessarily more valuable than a new-looking coin. Sometimes the coin that appears almost ordinary is the one that deserves the closer examination. Let's talk about the D mint mark in more detail. If you see a small D beneath the date, that is simply identifying Denver production. It doesn't mean the coin is a rare Denver error. It also doesn't mean that every 2001 D penny has a special value. When searching for a valuable example, collectors look at the entire coin. They study the date, mint mark, condition, surfaces, strike, possible varieties, and evidence of genuine mint errors. The D is only one part of the identification process. Now imagine two 2001 D pennies sitting next to each other. The first one has clearly circulated. Lincoln's hair and cheeks show wear, the fields have contact marks, and the reverse has lost some of its original detail. The second coin looks dramatically sharper. It has no obvious circulation wear and its surfaces are unusually well preserved. Same year, same mint, same denomination, completely different condition story. This is exactly why grading matters so much when collectors evaluate Lincoln cents. The term MS, or mint state, is especially important when researching higher quality examples. Mint state indicates a coin without wear from normal circulation, although an MS coin can still have marks or other imperfections. Grades can range upward through MS 60, MS 61, MS 62, MS 63, and beyond. A high-grade 2001 D cent may attract more attention than a heavily circulated example, but remember that an MS designation does not automatically make a coin rare or worth a huge amount. The exact grade and market demand are critical. A coin that receives an MS grade is evaluated according to its actual preservation. Collectors consider things such as surface marks, luster, strike quality, and overall eye appeal. That's why simply looking at a penny and saying, "This one is shiny, so it must be MS," isn't enough. A circulated coin can be shiny because it was cleaned or polished, while a genuine mint state coin can have subtle characteristics that aren't obvious to an inexperienced eye. Proper grading requires careful examination. This brings us to one of the biggest mistakes people make when discovering old pennies: cleaning them. If your 2001 D Lincoln cent looks dirty, dark, stained, or unusual, don't immediately scrub it. Household cleaning products can damage the surface and create unnatural marks. Even if the coin isn't rare, preserving its original condition is generally better for collecting. If you believe the coin has something important about it, examine it in its existing state before doing anything that could permanently alter the surface. Now let's imagine a different 2001 D cent. This one has an unusual feature that doesn't appear on normal examples. Maybe something about the lettering, design, or strike looks different. This is where the investigation becomes more interesting, but also where caution is necessary. Not every unusual mark is a mint error. A genuine error must have a connection to the manufacturing process. Damage that happened after the coin left the mint is a completely different category. For example, a scratch caused by circulation isn't automatically valuable. A dent from a machine isn't automatically a rare error. Chemical discoloration isn't proof of a mint mistake. Even dramatic-looking damage can sometimes be post-mint alteration. That's why collectors compare suspected errors with known examples and, when appropriate, use professional authentication. The difference between a genuine, mint-made characteristic and ordinary damage can completely change the numismatic story. Now let's discuss the 2026 auction market. When people search for 2001 D penny value, they often find enormous numbers attached to online listings. But an asking price isn't the same thing as a completed sale. Someone can list a penny for $500, $5,000, or even more, but unless someone actually purchases it at that amount, the listing doesn't establish the coin's market value. Serious research should focus on documented auction results and comparable coins. A genuine auction record can be much more useful, but even auction results must be read carefully. Suppose a particularly high-grade certified 2001 D cent brings an impressive price at auction. That result doesn't mean a normal circulated 2001 D penny is worth the same amount. The sold coin may have an exceptional grade, certification, or another characteristic that makes it fundamentally different. Always compare like with like. Same date, same mint, similar grade, similar variety, and similar condition. The phrase "sold for a high price" also needs context. Was the coin graded MS? Was it an unusually high MS grade? Was there a recognized variety? Was there a genuine mint error? Was it professionally certified? Were multiple collectors competing for that exact specimen? These details explain why one coin can command a stronger price than another. Without that information, a dollar figure can be extremely misleading. Now let's focus on a circulated 2001 D cent again. If the coin has obvious wear and no recognized error or variety, its market position is generally much more modest. The fact that it is a Denver coin doesn't change that by itself, but collectors may still enjoy it as part of a Lincoln cent collection. Not every collectible coin has to be worth hundreds of dollars. Sometimes the enjoyment comes from completing a date and mint set, or simply preserving a piece of everyday American history. The story changes when we move to an exceptionally preserved specimen, a 2001 D cent that survived with very strong surfaces and little or no circulation, where it can be much more interesting to someone assembling a high-grade collection. If it receives a strong professional grade, its desirability can increase. But again, the exact value must come from actual market evidence. One exceptional coin does not establish a universal price for every 2001 D cent. This is why the term one-time sold should be handled carefully. If you find only one auction result for a specific high-grade example, that means the market has limited publicly documented data for that exact category. It does not mean every similar-looking penny is automatically worth that same amount. A single result is a clue, not a guarantee. More comparable sales provide a stronger picture of market value. Let's also remember that coin markets can change. The 2026 numismatic market is influenced by collector interest, auction competition, grading populations, economic conditions, and the availability of desirable examples. A price recorded years ago may not perfectly represent today's market. That's why current, verified sales are preferable when you're trying to estimate what a coin might be worth now. If you're holding a 2001 D penny right now, start with a simple inspection. Confirm the date. Confirm the D. Look carefully at Lincoln's portrait. Check the rims. Turn the coin over and inspect the memorial reverse. Look for unusual doubling, striking abnormalities, missing design elements, or other features that appear genuinely connected to production. Use magnification if necessary, but don't assume that every strange appearance represents a rare variety. And here's another important point. Every coin has a different history. One 2001 D penny may have been carried in someone's pocket for years. Another may have been saved immediately after production. One may have been exposed to moisture. Another may have been stored safely. One may have suffered scratches. Another could have remarkably clean surfaces. Even coins from the same roll can develop different appearances over time. That's what makes examining individual coins so interesting. The 2001 D Lincoln cent also demonstrates why the phrase rare coin should be used carefully. A coin isn't rare simply because a video calls it rare. It isn't valuable simply because someone posts a huge number next to a photograph. Rarity needs evidence. Value needs market evidence. And an error needs identification. The more specific the claim, the more important it is to verify the source. So if you discover a circulated 2001 D Lincoln penny, don't automatically expect a life-changing amount of money. Instead, ask whether your particular coin has something that separates it from the ordinary population. Is it unusually well preserved? Does it have a legitimate variety? Is there evidence of a genuine mint era? Has a comparable certified coin actually sold at auction? Those questions will give you a much better answer than a generic internet price guide. When researching 2001 D Lincoln penny value in 2026, remember the basic formula: identification first, condition second, variety or error third, and market evidence last. Don't clean the coin while you're investigating it. Don't confuse an asking price with a sold price. Don't copy the value of an exceptional MS coin onto a circulated example. And don't assume that the D mint mark itself makes the penny rare. The most exciting part of collecting is that you never know what you will discover. A coin that looks ordinary can lead to an interesting research project. A circulated cent can tell the story of everyday commerce. A high-grade survivor can show how carefully some coins were preserved. And a genuinely rare error can reveal something about the complicated process that produced millions of coins. So how much is a 2001 D Lincoln penny worth in 2026? There is no single number for every coin. A normal circulated example generally has modest value, while exceptional certified examples, recognized varieties, or authentic mint errors can have a different level of collector interest. The exact dollar amount should always be supported by reliable, comparable sales rather than an exaggerated online claim. If you have a 2001 D penny, take another look before putting it back into the jar. Check the date, inspect the D mint mark, study the surfaces, and compare the coin with reliable references. If something genuinely unusual appears, investigate further rather than jumping straight to a price. The difference between an ordinary cent and an interesting numismatic specimen can sometimes be surprisingly small, but it has to be real. And that is the biggest lesson from today's 2001 D Lincoln penny story. The date is only the beginning. The mint mark is only one clue. The condition is only one part of the equation. The real story comes from putting all the evidence together. Every coin is different. Every coin has traveled through a different history, and every potentially valuable coin deserves to be examined on its own evidence. If you enjoy Lincoln penny discoveries, 2001 D penny values, mint state coins, rare errors, auction results, and the 2026 numismatic market. Subscribe to the channel and keep searching those old coin jars, collections, and pockets. You might not find a fortune every time, but you can always find another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Lincoln Penny treasure hunt.